Hi, welcome back to The Natural Self. I'm holistic health coach Paul Curtis, and today I want to talk about how to avoid watching this stuff fly across the prairie and also how to get it out of your brain. Yeah, should be a fun conversation. All right, so it's a windy day here in Montana, and a lot of times we see this stuff flying across the prairie on days like today. And it's kind of sad. It kind of bums me out to see that. Um, I think we all want to see a cleaner world. And recently I went to the dump and it just broke my heart. I think everybody should go visit their local dump and just see what's going on, see where all your trash goes. I am not trying to guilt trip anybody. I know I've lived kind of ignorant of this for a long time, but what really starts to wake you up to this is when you realize that this is in your brain. It's in your body and in your brain. It's kind of scary to think about, but the average human brain has 7 grams of plastic in it in 2025, which is pretty startling, kind of scary to think about. So it gets you thinking about ways to improve your health. I think our birthright is to be healthy, happy, vibrant, and strong. And it starts by putting good things in our body. So I want to talk about how you can do this locally, how you can actually have a lot of fun getting your own food locally. And I want to talk about how I do that. So I love to hunt and forage, and gardening's okay. I like to garden some too. But hunting and foraging wild food is just such an amazing thing. It tunes you into the natural world in a way that is just magical. So there's a few foods that I procure from the natural environment here in Montana, and you can too. No matter where you live, there's some kind of wild food you could partake in. And the beautiful thing about all these wild foods is in this part of the country, they preserve perfectly without refrigeration, without the need of plastic, without the need of anything, just you and sunlight. So the first food, this is elk, and you just cut this into strips, put it on a dehydrator or put it on a sheet and dry it in the sun, and it dries out perfectly, and it's a great little jerky snack, or you can make pemmican out of it. The next food is fat. So a lot of times I'll take the fat from the deer that I hunt or the elk, or there's a local rancher here that sells grass-fed fat, and you just render this down. You put it in a pot, heat it up, render it down, and it turns into this is just magical stuff. This is like what fuels me every day. It's tallow. You can combine dried meat and tallow to make pemmican. So you crush this up or blend it up into a powder. You melt this into a liquid, and then you mix them all together, and it makes this amazing like protein bar that's been eaten by native people for a very long time. It's amazing stuff. Another food that I get here locally, this is ripe in August, or the choke cherries. And this doesn't look like a choke cherry, but it is. I learned this from some native people that talk about how to preserve it. This is an ancient practice of you take a mortar and pestle or a meat grinder, and you crush the choke cherries, pits and all, into a little patty. And I didn't do a very good job of breaking up the little pits you can see, but you want to crush them up real fine, and then you put them on a sheet or something, and then dry them in the sun, and it turns into this like really good snack that you can eat. Another thing, the staple, and I store all of this in glass jars, so you don't need plastic for this, is dried liver. So super high in vitamin A and B12 and tons of B vitamins and minerals and vitamins in liver. Super good for you. And you can also crush this up, put it in your pemmican, and you have this like highly nutritious snack. It's great for backpacking because it doesn't weigh very much, and it's just dense. It's so dense in nutrition So if you're going on long hikes or hunts, pemmican is king. Another food you can put in your pemmican as well are these dried plums. So these are wild plums that grow here, any ditch, any off the side of the road in a borrow pit. Around like August, September, you'll see wild plums growing. And I love to blend these up, put it in the pemmican, or we make our own yogurt here. And you can blend it up, put the powder in your yogurt, and it tastes almost like Red Bull. It's super good, and it gives you wings, kind of. The next thing, this is weird. Guarantee most people haven't eaten this, but this is spleen from an elk. And same thing, you can just eat it raw or dried, or you can blend it up and put it in your pemmican. So another highly nutritious, really good for the immune system. So the spleen is an organ that helps with immune function, and if you ingest it, it's got all kinds of vitamins that strengthen the immune system. And one of my favorites, and kind of a food that's under the radar, most people don't know about these, but this is prairie turnip. And these are a wild tuber that grow in the prairie. And sadly, we've kind of decimated these because the Great Plains are covered in soy and corn. We have all these domestic plants that grow where these used to grow. Luckily, where I live, there's still a lot of native grasslands that have these. And I'll do another video on digging these up in June. May or June is kind of the best time. But you soak these in water. These dry out perfectly. So you can hang them up, you braid them, you hang them up, let them dry just in your house. They'll dry out in like a day or two, and they're just rock hard. And then when you want to eat them, you just rehydrate them for a few hours. You can put them in a stew or, in with your roast or whatever. And they're just a really tasty, kind of starchy tuber. So, and they dry out perfectly. That's the common thread with all these foods. You don't need refrigeration. You don't need to cover them in plastic and put them in the freezer, although I do that with some of my meat. But you can really cut down on plastic by drying food and using it again. I've done this with beets for my garden. I have some beets as well that I dried out. And the amazing thing that happens, even if these foods stay out through an entire winter, they dry out perfectly. So these are choke cherries. We were on a walk the other day, my son and I and my wife and baby. He loves picking choke cherries, and there's this giant choke cherry tree close to where we live that we always pick the fresh berries off them. But we walked by and he's like, "Daddy, I want to pick choke cherries," and there were a whole bunch of dried ones still hanging on to the branches. And we went and picked you can see like a good amount there. And these, same thing, you can rehydrate these, you can do all kinds of stuff with them, but it's a wild fruit that nature just preserves for you, and you can go pick them even out of season, they're still there and still edible. Unlike an apple, big giant apple that rots and gets eaten by wasps and all kinds of stuff. So all these foods are really, they're meant to fill us full of life and vitality. And there's zero plastic involved. You're not going to put a bunch of plastic in your brain doing this. And they're highly nutritious. I mean, there's all kinds of good minerals in here that's going to fill you full of life and strength. And, we're really meant to eat in tune with the rhythms of the place we live. And so much of our food comes from somewhere else. It's March here in Montana, and most of our food in the stores comes from Chile and Argentina and Ecuador. It comes from all over different parts of the world. And so it's really important to eat from where you live, eat wild foods, and to prioritize those. The more we prioritize wild food, the more it's going to come back, and it's going to just fill us with a lot of joy, because we'll be able to hunt and forage how we're meant to, and we're going to be in perfect health. So thanks for watching. I hope this was helpful. And if you have any questions on how to prepare this stuff or how to do it, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments on or maybe on a future video I could do to help you learn how to use these wild foods a little more effectively. So thanks for watching. Have a wonderful day and all the best.